Good afternoon, students. Today we're going to start one very important topic of the fluid circulation, that is the cardiac cycle. This cardiac cycle rests in two most important and vital words that we need to know first. That first is systole, S-Y-S-T-O-L-E. Another word is diastole. Systole means the contraction that we have done earlier, and diastole means the relaxation or the state of relaxation of human heart. So the whole process of the rhythmicity that brings the cardiac cycle in human heart can be divided into the auricular diastole, auricular systole, ventricular diastole, ventricular systole. First of all, student will be going for the SA node that we have discussed earlier. This is the red one that I have drawn here, is the SA node, which has the capability of generating and conducting pulse. So our heart is what? Myogenic. So what happens? The impulse moves all direction of the auricle like this. Okay. Here in this portion we have also another node that is called AV node. We have discussed earlier. So one is SA node, other is the AV node. That two nodes are also playing a great role in the cardiac cycle. Okay. So first start with the diastolic condition, when the heart is in the relaxed condition. The student, when the heart remains in the very relaxed condition, that is the diastolic condition. In this case, the blood, that is which blood? Here it will be impure blood. Impure blood will be entering the right ventricle. This is the right ventricle. Through superior inferior vena cava. This is the blood that has entered. And through the pulmonary veins, the pure blood will be entering from the lungs. Why that enters? Because the heart is in relaxed condition and has the way for the entry of the blood. That's why the blood is entering inside the heart. Now in this case, student, you have to keep in mind one thing. These valves are generally closed, and in that case there is a small narrow passage. What happens now when the blood is coming to this auricle? Little bit of the blood will also be moving to the ventricle because it is downfilling. Means ventricle are placed in the lower side of the auricle. That means whatever the blood will be coming from different direction to the auricle will be going little amount to the ventricles also. Got it? Now let's come to the another aspect, that is SA node. Understand the part what I am telling. SA node by this time will be generating impulse, and the impulse will be conducted all throughout the auricle. That builds up the pressure. When the pressure is built up, what happens in this case? The valve, this is the cuspid valve, opens. Okay? That generates the impulse, generates the pressure, and generates the opening of the cuspid valves. Got it? And the blood is now pumped to the ventricle. So we have found two things now. One is the diastolic condition of the auricle, where the blood from the different parts of the body has entered the auricle. That means from the upper part and lower part to superior inferior vena cava, that is the impure blood has entered right ventricle. Again, what we have found, the pure blood has entered the left ventricle from the lungs through pulmonary veins. Done. Now what happened? Gradually what happened? SA node was generating the impulse and conducting the impulse. and it has developed the pressure. Now gradually it will come to contraction. That is the systolic condition. Got it? And when the systolic condition has reached the peak, and gradually what happens? The pressure inside the auricle gradually decreases. Now see one thing. By this time the ventricle was in the diastolic condition, relaxed condition, and the blood was filling it up. Blood was filled, or blood keep on filling the ventricle. Got it? Now what happens? Another node was there, AV node. What the AV node does? It is a pace setter. What is the meaning of pace setter? Pace setter means that one who takes the impulse and coordinates with the another part of the heart. That is the ventricle. So what you are finding here? You are finding this is the bundle of his. Okay, try to get it. This is the bundle of his, and here is the Purkinje fiber. Purkinje fiber. Got it? So what happens now? Earlier, diastolic condition of the ventricle make the ventricle to take the blood, whatever needed, whatever it is not filled up in the chamber, to come from the auricle. That done. Got it? By this time, AV node takes the impulse from the auricle. Now auricle come to the diastolic condition from the systolic condition, and that impulse moves to the ventricle, and ventricle come to now systolic condition. Understand the thing? So one thing is happening here. You see very nicely. When the pressure exerted, this cuspid valve, right? These are the cuspid valve. I told you cuspid valves. These are the cuspid valves. Cuspid valve opens. Understand? Now when the blood has entered, this cuspid valve doesn't allow the blood to move in the opposite direction. It closes. So moment the systolic condition of the auricle has reached the peak, and it is trying to give the impulse to the ventricle, it closes, and there will be one sound. That sound is called lub. L-U-B-B. Lub. Closure of the cuspid valves. Lub. What is it? Closure of the cuspid valve. Now what happens? Here also the same thing happens. Systolic condition of the ventricle. When the systolic condition of the ventricle come, what happens? Ventricle now will be pumping the blood to the pulmonary artery. This is the pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery. And what? Aorta. Aorta. This is aorta. Now again, we are finding another thing now. The semiannular valve doesn't allow the blood to come in the reverse direction. Okay? It closes. So again the closure of the valve is there. We are finding another sound called dub. D-U-B-B. Dub. So that makes a complete cardiac cycle. What is that in the cardiac cycle? First of all, we will finding here atrial systole, which continues for 0.18 second. Then atrial diastole, which is 0.08 second. Then ventricular systole, 0.30 second. Ventricular diastole, which is 0.32 second. Dear student, to sum up this, we have to keep in mind one thing. Contraction of the heart doesn't take place altogether. All the chamber doesn't go for contraction. So what happens now? When the auricle undergoes contraction, ventricle is in the diastolic condition. Remember this thing. When the ventricle undergoes contraction, in that case, auricle comes to the diastolic condition. Got it? So how that happens? Systolic, diastolic, systolic, diastolic. So lub, dub. So how that happens? Lub, dub, lub, dub, lub, dub. That is the rhythmicity of the heart. Okay? So today we came to know related to the cardiac cycle of the human heart. That's all from the cardiac cycle. Thank you, students.